Ever stumble down one of those internet rabbit holes?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you end up on some old
Yeah,
website,
yeah.
like a blog or a profile,
Right.
and it's just frozen in time.
Like a time capsule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today, we are diving into one of those,
Ooh.
a site called Jephrants.com.
Okay.
Jephrants.com.
Huh. I like it.
So,
It's like opening a time capsule, isn't it?
yeah.
Each one of those blog posts we're going to look at today,
Hmm.
it's like this perfect little snapshot of where this guy was
Right.
at that moment in time.
And what's so interesting is this isn't like,
Yeah.
you know, the really early days of the internet.
Right. Like
Yeah.
where you're like, oh, wow, the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like this is
GeoCities or something.
like 2010 to 2016.
Yeah. This is like peak social media.
When everyone's getting on Facebook and Twitter's blowing up.
Yeah.
And this guy goes silent right in the thick of it.
Fascinating.
And what he left behind are these short,
Okay.
almost cryptic poems,
Interesting.
which he filed under perspective.
Perspective.
So the question is,
Yeah.
can we figure out
Mhm.
who Jeph was, what he was going through,
Yeah.
just from these little digital breadcrumbs?
I love it. Let's do it. I'm right.
Putting on my detective hat. Let's go.
Let's dive in.
One of the first poems that really stood out to me
Okay.
was from October 2012,
Okay.
called Ticked at the Talk.
Ticked at the talk. Okay.
And it's this really,
It's about time, I'm guessing.
it is about time. It's this really,
Okay, keep going. All right.
it's this really visceral reaction to time slipping away.
Yeah.
Like, you ever get that feeling?
Oh, all the time?
Like time itself
Yeah.
is tapping you on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, hey, hurry up.
Yeah, like you're on borrowed time.
Exactly.
It's less of a melancholy feel to me
Interesting.
and a little more like he's like in a wrestling match with time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wrestling with the clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he follows that up
Okay.
a couple months later
Okay.
with a poem called Her Name Wasn't Important.
Ooh. Her name wasn't important.
So now we've got a mystery.
You've got intrigue.
Who is her?
Right.
Is this like a recurring muse?
Every good story needs a mysterious woman.
Right. It's got to have a little mystery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then I wonder,
Yeah.
is this less about a person?
What if it's a metaphor and more about maybe like
Ooh.
that feeling you get when inspiration strikes?
Yeah.
Or a lost opportunity?
It's that feeling of longing.
Yes.
You know, that he's chasing after something.
It just came.
Can't quite grasp it.
And then it gets even more interesting because he
Yeah.
takes this whole idea of struggling against expectations.
Okay.
But the tone is totally different.
Oh, how so?
It's raw.
Okay.
It's almost bitter.
Oh, wow.
This one's called Men
Men?
from July 2013.
Okay.
And in it, he talks about the struggles of fathers,
Okay.
specifically in custody battles.
Custody battles, yeah.
Feeling like they're trapped by the system, like the system's not listening to them.
I see.
And it just feels so
Yeah.
raw, you know?
Yeah. Almost like a punch to the gut, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you have to wonder,
Yeah.
you know, when you connect it back to Ticked at the Talk,
Mm-hmm.
was this his reality?
Yeah.
Like, was he writing from experience?
Yeah.
It makes you wonder.
It really does.
Yeah.
And then a few months later,
Okay.
this is November 2013,
Mm-hmm.
he publishes a post called TBH.
TBH.
And this one is not a poem.
Oh.
It's prose.
Wow. Okay.
It's just him
Straight from the heart.
being really honest.
Interesting.
He talks about feeling lost,
Huh.
struggling to move forward,
Mm.
and it's just so different
Yeah.
from these earlier poems because it's just so,
Yeah.
it feels more vulnerable.
Like he's letting his guard down a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you see the person behind the poems.
Yeah. Behind the curtain. Like he's letting us peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, and what's interesting is this is right around the time
Yeah.
his posts become a lot less frequent.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So it's
Yeah.
almost like
Yeah.
getting all of that out
Mm-hmm.
in TBH
Yeah.
was like,
Like he needs to get that out.
yeah,
And move forward in a way.
exactly. And you start to see the themes in his poems
Yeah.
shift a little
Yeah.
bit. So they become less about him and his problems
Yeah.
and more about these bigger ideas.
Okay, more universal themes.
Right.
Right.
Like these ideas we all kind of grapple with.
Okay.
And I think a great example of that
Okay.
are his poems Tailed and Vehemence,
Okay.
both from January 2015.
Okay, so this is like a year later
Yeah.
that he posts these two.
Tailed always gets me
Really?
because it's this image of someone walking away
Okay.
from the path everyone else is on,
Mm-hmm.
alone into this unknown.
It's like that classic hero's journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did that resonate with you at all?
Totally. It's like that
Yeah.
universal human need for something more,
Right.
even if it means
Yeah.
facing the unknown.
Exactly.
And then vehemence, which kind of has this
Yeah.
raw energy to it.
Yeah.
It's almost like an echo of Tail in a way.
It is. It's
Yeah.
like he's tapping into something
Yeah.
bigger than himself.
It's primal.
Right.
Oh, nice.
Almost. And you know what's interesting?
What's that?
You mentioned how his blog
Yeah.
existed during like the rise of social media,
Right.
like when everyone's joining these platforms.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Do you think that influenced his writing at all?
It's interesting, right? Because you've got
Yeah.
Twitter, which is what, like 140 characters at the
Mhm.
time? And then you've got Facebook, which is all about
Right.
status updates.
Yeah, like what are you doing right now?
Right. Exactly. And I wonder if he felt like, well, where does poetry fit into all of this?
Right, exactly.
Where do these bigger ideas fit?
And then in September 2015,
Okay.
he posts Not Sorry.
Not sorry. What's
And
up?
this one is so powerful
What is it?
because he's talking about letting people down,
Mm-hmm.
about not meeting those expectations that everyone has,
Yeah.
but choosing his own happiness.
Wow.
You can tell just reading it
Yeah.
that this has been like
Yeah.
building up this whole time he's been writing.
And he finally just puts it out there.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's interesting
It's that.
because all of those themes we've been talking about,
Yeah.
disappointment,
Mm-hmm.
expectations,
Right.
choosing your own path,
Yeah.
he brings it all together.
It all culminates
Yeah.
in this one post.
And it makes you think,
Right.
like, how many other Jeffs are out there?
Right.
Like people who poured their heart and soul into blogs
Yeah.
that maybe didn't get
Right.
the biggest audience.
Right.
And what happens to that stuff?
Exactly. Like what happens to these digital artifacts when people move on?
The internet's a big place.
It is a big place. It
Yeah.
really makes you think about all the stuff that's out there. It's like a digital graveyard almost.
Yeah. And even if one specific blog doesn't get a
Yeah.
ton of attention,
Yeah.
it's all part of this bigger conversation.
We're a bigger human experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one thing that really struck me,
Yeah.
looking back at Jeff's writing,
Yeah.
is how much it changes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He goes from these kind of like
Yeah.
short, cryptic poems
Right.
to these really raw and honest posts.
Okay.
And then it's like
Yeah.
he's exploring these big universal ideas.
Yeah. It's like he's finding his voice. You know, like
Yeah.
maybe he was
Yeah.
a little unsure at first,
Well,
testing the
like-
waters.
yeah.
And then he's like,
Right.
all right, I can be myself here.
Right. And you know what's so interesting is that this is like
Yeah.
before Instagram, where
Yeah.
it's all about, you know.
Yeah. Like perfectly curated. Like this is my best life.
Yeah, exactly. This is like,
It's authentic.
it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's raw.
I kind of miss it.
I know, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's like he was a pioneer.
He was out there
Yeah.
forging the path.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what do you think Jeff is up to now?
I don't know. You think he's still writing?
Maybe.
Like in a journal or something?
Yeah, maybe he's moved on to
I-
some,
Mm.
you know, platform we've never even heard of.
Right. Exactly.
Or maybe he's okay
Yeah.
with Jeff Rant's being
Right.
frozen in time.
There's his time capsule.
Oh, yeah, like
Yeah.
this perfect little snapshot
that,
of his
yeah.
life.
And who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe in another 10 years,
Right.
someone else will stumble on it.
Yeah, I
And
guess.
be like, what is this?
And have a whole new
Right. Exactly.
deep dive.
Yeah. And that's kind of beautiful, right?
It really is.
Like it lives on.
Yeah, it makes you think about what we
Yeah.
leave behind,
Yeah.
you know?
It's like our digital ghost.
Yeah.
Our digital spirits.
And even though, you know,
Mm.
Jeff's blog isn't being updated,
Right.
he's given us
Yeah.
so much to think about.
A lot to unpack.
Right. Like the power of writing,
Mm.
even if it's just online.
Yeah, it can really
Yeah.
outlive you.
Right. And how even after,
Yeah.
you know, someone's gone silent,
Yeah.
their words can still
Mm.
connect with us.
Yeah, those connections can last.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So the next time you find yourself
Mm-hmm.
going down an internet rabbit hole
Right.
and you stumble upon something like this,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to dive in.
You never know what you're going to find.
You really don't.
Yeah.
You might be surprised.
Keep an open mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Until next time,
Until next time.
keep exploring
Keep diving.
and keep diving deep.
Mm.